And I'm like, look around you. Right now, 1 in 4 kids and teens have prediabetes. Right now, anxiety is on a rise, obesity is on a rise, diabetes are on a rise, depression is on a rise. More girls than ever before are having suicidal thoughts. This is not all just by accident. This is because that we're feeding our bodies the wrong fuel. It's all been planned to manipulate us. We are being manipulated. No teen wants to live with acne. No teen wants to live with all of those like stomach problems and eczema and rashes. We want to feel good. And the way to that is to start taking care of our bodies again.
You're listening to the Healthy Parenting Handbook podcast. It's just what we all said we needed when we first became parents. Now, today I'm talking directly to parents of teens. I want you to invite your teen to listen to this episode with you because my guest is 17-year-old Abdullah Ansari. Along with 3 of his brothers who are all younger than him, he has written a traditionally published, which means real deal, book. They have a podcast. They've interviewed over 200 experts. These are like amazing cream of the crop kids. This is the kind of teen you want in your teen's ear. So go get your teens. Go get their ears. Listen to this podcast in the car. I asked Abdullah to talk directly to teens. So like moms, dads, you and I, we're out. They don't need us for this one. Although you probably should listen in because it's pretty doggone inspiring. I'm your host, Katie Kimball, and I've brought together experts in the fields of health, parenting, nutrition, and more to give you the information you need to truly raise healthy, independent, future adults. My friends, this interview is so special. If you can't find your teen, listen first, but also please remember that we also have our Healthy Parenting Handbook one-pagers. This is a quick summary of the best points each guest makes. So you could literally either print your own Healthy Parenting Handbook, if you're old like me, or you can just check them on your phone because it's just a Google Doc, nothing to download, no clutter. Go to kidscookrealfood.com/handbook for that. Now, about today's honored guest. What a delightful interview. First of all, Abdullah Ansari has written this book with 3 of his brothers. So they are Abdullah, Zain, Ahmad, and Qasim Ansari. They are 17, 14, 12, and 10. What? They're the host of the Holistic Kids Show podcast. They're national speakers, and they've authored this book, The Teen Health Revolution, Lifestyle Secrets to Optimize Your Mind, Body, and Soul. This is going to release December 11th, 2025. So if you're listening to this like right away, pre-order that book. They've got some awesome bonuses that Abdullah will talk about at the end of the interview. If you're listening to it after December 2025, order the book, The Teen Health Revolution. These kids have lectured at the leading integrative and functional medicine conference. They were the first youth speakers at the 2024 International Institute of Functional Medicine, A4M. Like, amazing. They have spoken on all these stages in front of doctors, people who have advanced degrees, and these teens are schooling them on what teens need. What? They've reached audiences of over 60,000 at these conferences. In fact, in May 2025, Abdullah, my guest, was featured in the docuseries Young and Thriving. He was called, quote, a young voice for mental health who is bringing a unique perspective of today's youth into the conversation. I have known Dr. Medea Saeed and her kids, these Ansari boys, for 8 or 9 or 10 years since we met going on the Dr. Nandi show. And they're just delightful. They're just amazing. And I got to shut up because hopefully you've grabbed your teens. We got to jump right into this interview. Abdullah, this is such a treat because I think I've known you for about 10 years. I think it was 10 years ago that you and your brother Zain and my daughter Leah and, the moms too, were on the Dr. Nandi show together in the middle of a snowstorm. We went out to Chipotle afterward. Your family just holds such a dear, special place in my heart. So this is a treat. I'm a little sad I don't get the other brothers, but I'm so happy to talk to you. You're 17. You've written a book. Abdullah, most of your peers are out like doing sports, theater, karate. I mean, they're sitting around on their phones and you're doing a podcast interview. What fires you up? Like, why are you doing this?
Because this is a mission that needs to happen. Right now, teens, we see with our peers and our classmates and our friends how bad it is with anxiety, with depression, with how they eat. And we see the effects. Like I immediately notice sometimes when my friend, has some food that, is going to affect him in a certain way. And because of that, he then starts to experience, more anxiety. You can see like the pimples coming on his face, the acne. And, I walk through my high school and I see diabetes, I see obesity, I see chronic disease, acne, eczema. And the more that we talk about this, the more it is recognized in the world. And I think one of the most important things we can do is to educate teens. Because teens, if we don't know what we're doing to our body, then we don't control ourselves. We think that we have control. We don't like to listen to adults. Like they're the least people we like to listen to, and we hate when they control us, and we want to be free. But we're never going to be free if we're constantly going to be sick, if we're constantly going to be fighting for our bodies back. And that's why this is a mission that needs to happen, because we are the next generation. And if the next generation of lawyers, of doctors, of businessmen, of entrepreneurs, the list goes on and on and on. But if we are not healthy and we don't control our bodies and our brains and guts are sick, we won't be able to achieve anything. So this is a mission, and it starts now.
And you are so fired up. I can hear it in your voice. And I love that you're having a new definition of freedom, really, that you want to be in control, but you're not actually in control if you're just going along with the flow and doing what the food marketers are tricking you into doing. It's going to take a teen health revolution to redefine freedom, which is an independence, which is what all teens want. So Abdullah, if you're talking to teens and let's say, they're actually listening, what do teens need to understand that they're not seeing about the health of teenagers in the modern world?
Look, in schools, we're taught the basics, look at nutrition facts. We're taught, do this and do that, hormones, but we're never taught about what certain foods do to our body. We're never taught that there's an extra way besides taking a pill each day, being prescribed medication, and that we can heal simply based on managing sleep, managing our stress, managing what we eat, and just managing our whole body all together at once. Because, once we actually start focusing on what we're putting into our mouths, we're more mindful of what we're doing, then we're going to be able to live better lives. I know I mentioned it a little bit before, but honestly, one of the biggest things that teens need to know is just realize and be mindful about what they're consuming visually and, internally, and from what's around them in their environment. Because right now we just stuff whatever we find into our mouths, scroll and scroll, and just we're exposed to so many random things that we don't need to be exposed to. And a lot of us, nobody knows what we're scrolling and watching while we're doing it. That's why we're up until 2 a.m. trying to get those dopamine hits.
Well, you talk about consumption. And so we need to be mindful about what we're consuming, both with our eyes, our mind, and our mouth. And if others, whether it's big tech or big food, is serving what we're consuming, we're not really in control. So just being mindful, understanding how what we consume affects us. We'll talk about tech a little later, but I do want to start with food. The Kids Cook Real Food is my business. And you have two physicians as parents, physicians, grandparents, physicians, great-grandparents. So I feel like your science knowledge is imbued from birth, which is super cool. Tell teen language, right? What is the relationship between the gut microbiome and how teens feel today?
The gut, the microbiome, 70% of the immune system is in the gut, which means that you'd be crazy to say that if what I'm eating doesn't affect my health. I know as a teen, you think that, okay, but I'm just eating it, right? It's it shouldn't affect me that much, right? When in reality, it's doing quite the opposite. Every single bite that we take has a purpose. It'll either help us or hurt us. And we need to recognize that, because the sooner that we recognize that, the sooner that we can start treating ourselves better. The sooner that we can start feeling better. I know you mentioned the gut, because that's the most important thing. What we eat affects our mental health. What we eat affects our physical health. What we eat affects our emotional health. Why do you think when you eat something, and you feel it in your gut, but then sometimes you feel a bit more disoriented? Sometimes you have more mood swings, more irritability. Even your skin sometimes feels different. Emotionally, you feel different. And you think that, am I just making this up? Maybe it just happens. But no. This is something that's biologically true, and that what you eat affects your mental health, affects your physical health, and affects your emotional health. And the sooner that we recognize that, the sooner we can make a difference.
It sounds like there's probably a spectrum of what we should eat. And so if we put, on the one end of the spectrum, foods you can eat that will make you feel better, act better, be your best self. On the other end of the spectrum, foods you might put in your mouth that are going to make you maybe your worst self and cause disease. And then there's some shifting in the middle. What would you put on both ends, like the best and the worst?
The worst definitely has to be ultra processed foods. Any UPF. Anything that has been made in a lab that's not real, that has a bunch of weird chemicals in them. Look at the back of ingredients. Just tell me really how much do you understand? How much looks like actual food and not just stuff you find in a chem lab? And on the best side, probably the best foods we should be focusing on. I know our parents tell us all the time, but leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, right? Because the benefits they have, they help with detoxification. They help put our bodies back into balance. They help feed the good bugs in our body. And I know that it sounds like, oh, I just have to eat green vegetables if I have to be, if I want to have a good life. No. There's a rainbow of foods out there. There's a rainbow of fruits and veggies. And some of there's, orange, yellow, purple, even blue, white fruits and veggies out there that most people don't even know about. Like, actually, did you know that I think we recently found this out, me and my brothers, but that I think there's around 70,000 different apples.
What?
They each have their own different taste. They each have like their own different like flavor and texture. And we can make those kind of foods fun. Natural food, real food doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun food.
I love that you went next level because I was sort of expecting that like the one end of the spectrum, the good foods, that you would just say whole foods, produce and meats and like do like the whole big bunch. But you were like, oh no, she asked me the best. I'm going to talk about detoxification because I have this like science knowledge that most teens don't have. Love it, love it, love it. So ultra processed foods is a fascinating term for me. We did not, 10 years ago, we just called it processed foods. But now we've had to like level up to call it ultra processed foods. Why? Like, what is going on there? How are big food companies using ultra processed foods to get kids in their world and addicted to them? Like, why are they ultra processed versus just like whatever you buy in the store, processed food?
Oh, I love that you mentioned that because first of all, just for everybody listening, what are ultra processed foods? I mean, aren't they real foods? That's why they have food in the name. Like,
yeah.
Wouldn't they be connected? Well, actually, ultra-processed foods we like to call them substances because that's what they really are. They're substances that cause blood sugar spikes that can then lead to stuff like glycation, and which is when sugar then sticks to parts of the bodies and it just messes the body up even more. It's linked to, oxidative stress. It's linked to hurting ourselves, our gut bugs, destroying our immune system, and leading to sickness and disease. I tell my friends when they ask me, oh, but like, don't you, like, what do you mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't see it right now happening. And I'm like, look around you. Right now, 1 in 3, I think 1 in 4 kids and teens have prediabetes. Right now, anxiety is on a rise, obesity is on a rise, diabetes are on a rise, depression is on a rise. Right now I think more girls than ever before are having suicidal thoughts. This is not all just by accident. This is because that we're feeding our bodies the wrong fuel. We interviewed someone a while back. I'm going on a tangent here, but we interviewed someone back and they were like, if you feed your body junk, you're going to work like junk. Your brain's going to work like junk. Your body's going to work like junk. Even the way you talk, you speak, the way you feel, everything's gonna work like junk. And these ultra processed foods, man, they're leading to overeating. So first of all, they're bad for us. Second of all, they're getting us addicted. I know you've definitely heard the phrase, you can't have just one. And that's because, it was in all of the advertisements back in the day, all the commercials.
Yeah, the Pringles. I have a line about that in my upcoming book on picky eating, and my editor wanted me to take it out. And I was like, no, like that one, like people get it when you say, if you pop, you can't stop. Yeah.
And people think that, oh, this is just a saying, but this is what they chemically engineer these foods to do. There are scientists in a lab studying human behavior, studying how we respond to what we taste. And they've made these foods so that you're going to constantly overeat. They don't want you to just stop at one. They want you to open 2 bags, 3 bags, because it's all about making money. And they don't care about our health. We might think that they care for us and they care for the betterment of us, but they don't. All they want is that money, that profit. And so kids and teens are now overeating fake food. The best way to put it is this one quote that I heard is that the most profitable invention in US history and humankind is a sick child. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Right now, we have an epidemic of loneliness. We have a loneliness pandemic. We have chronic disease pandemic, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse unless we do something now. And we think that maybe this is just accidental, but this is not accidental. And I want to just go quickly into where this all came from because actually, and I was really surprised to learn this, me and my brothers, when we were going through the book, we were researching for the book, The Teen Health Revolution, was that R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris, tobacco industry, the tobacco companies, back in the 1970s, 1980s, they realized that they were going to start losing profits after the new guidelines came out that smoking wasn't good for you. I mean, you might have been, obviously
sure.
I was there to see it, but you might, like the older generations might have remembered that. And so what they did was instead of, saying, oh, I accepting defeat, they went and they bought Kraft, they bought Nabisco in the early 2000s. They then transferred their scientists from the tobacco industry to the food industry. And those scientists used the same tactics to make tobacco in cigarettes more addictive to make food addictive. And they use the same advertising, use the same commercials. I mean, if you look at commercials of food back then, tobacco commercials, their similarities are almost universal. They both promote that this is the cool thing to do. They both promote, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you remember this, our mom said she did, but back then the tobacco industry used to use like fluffy animals and like, they used to use stuffed animals and like cartoon characters.
Camel brand, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then those same scientists and those advertising employees and specialists came to the food industry and they wanted to monopolize on kids and teens and food. And so then you start seeing that on cereals. You start seeing on commercials. My brothers were saying like we literally walk down the aisle and everything is like super brightly colored. There's animals, there's like celebrities promoting this, and it's all been planned to manipulate us. We are being manipulated.
I want teens to hear that. Like, we are being manipulated because as teens, like, you're sort of wired to rebel a little bit. You're sort of wired to want to be independent and in control. And I got to go back to redefining freedom. That if you understand that you're being manipulated, you redefine freedom by making your own choices. But Abdullah, what do you say to teens? Like, let's say someone's tracking and they're like, that stinks. I don't want to be manipulated. But they're living in maybe a household full of processed foods. Like not everyone eats like 100% amazing and clean like yours does. Can you think of one or two things a teen could do when they're still in high school and then that, habits they can take into adulthood that they can actually control what they eat?
100%. First of all, take it step by step. Nobody's saying for us it took 10 years to get to where we are now. My favorite food was flaming hot Cheetos and Fanta.
No.
Actually, yes.
I do not believe that. I see your mom's Instagram and what y'all eat now.
10 years ago, flaming hot Cheetos were my absolute favorites.
What?
And after 10 years, we started to cut back each few months. We learned more. We stopped eating McDonald's, but at the same time we were having Popeyes. And then eventually we stopped Popeyes and we stopped Burger King. And then we stopped, high fructose corn syrup and then GMOs. So any teen can do the exact same thing. You don't have to cut out everything from the life. This isn't just an overnight thing. One night, one day, maybe a week, start cutting off of this. Tell yourself, okay, no more. I know it's like ridiculous or to you, but no more Starbucks. Something simple. And then next week, okay, now I'm going to add no more McDonald's. Okay, done. Now no more Chick-fil-A. And then eventually you'll start feeling yourself get better and better and better. And I think that's what every single teen wants. No teen wants to live with acne. No teen wants to live with all of those like stomach problems and eczema and rashes. We want to feel good. And the way to that is to start taking care of our bodies again. And you mentioned, in households where parents aren't really on board as well because they might not be educated. And what they can do is educate their family. Look, our family, when we started, like our grandparents and my dad's side of the family, they weren't really on board.
Okay.
Until we started to tell them, okay, we started showing them that this, red 40, this yellow number 5 actually is linked to cancer. That you are having, like, my family has like history of prediabetes and heart disease. My grandfather actually had prediabetes, and now he's not suffering from it anymore.
Reversed. I love it. Yes.
This was when he was 50. So if even our like older people can change and they can get better, then anybody can get better. Teach your parents, show your friends, your family, your aunt, your uncle, show them that this is what this causes, that, these are like the statistics of how mental illness is on a rise, that this is what's directly linked to that chronic disease and mental health epidemic, that these are not two different worlds, that if you want us to live better, if you want us to have a better life, then you will feed us what is going to give us that better life.
Amazing. I think, what's even probably harder, Abdullah, is the peers, right? So like you're going to your theater event and they have pizza and soda, and you're going to your sporting event and it's donuts, and it just seems like we're inundated. Like I'm going out with my friends as a teen, like my teens, they'll go out with friends, and where are they going to go? With Chick-fil-A. They're going to go to Taco Bell. And so what advice do you have for teens on dealing with those peer relationships and the fact that so many social events are centered around food? Like, how do you do it? Do you go to events and there's like all sorts of stuff that you will not eat? What do you do?
Of course. I mean, I'm not like, a lot of people look at our life and they think that we're really boring. We just sit home eating, with a carrot in our hand, just eating carrots, and exactly. But really, we have so much fun with food. When we go out, we just bring our own food. All my friends, everybody knows, and they love to try the food that I bring because it makes them feel good as well.
Have you been picked on for your food ever at school? Because you went to public school, right? Regular school. Okay.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever bug you or say weird stuff about your food?
Never, because I'm telling you, all the 4 of us, they never picked on our food because there's no reason to. Why? I know it seems like, if I just bring carrots and vegetables and fruits to lunch, then people will pick on me. Actually, sometimes it's the opposite, because kids at lunch, sadly, most don't bring food from home. And so a lot of us sometimes used to cook food ourselves. We used to swap out chip brands. So it's not, we also used to bring, our natural chips. I don't know if you know of Siete, right?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Our friends used to line up to go out and get some from us. We used to have chips. We used to have cookies. We used to have all types of good stuff. And to them, though, that's just actually better chips and better fruits. And they see that we're trying to better ourselves. And who makes fun of somebody eating fruits and veggies?
Well, okay, counterpoint. I'm amazed actually, because I think, and maybe it's partly your confidence and the fact that you're able to talk about your why. Whereas my kids, my 5th grader was it this year or last year, was teased because he had homemade yogurt. And so it was a different consistency than they're used to. And they'd say, "Oh, your yogurt looks like glue." And my daughter would take like strawberry fruit rolls that we dehydrated way back in elementary school, because she's your age. And they're not bright red. They're not like a fruit roll up. They're kind of brown. And they'd say, like, "Ew, what's that? Why is it such a weird color?" So I think kids do get a little scared of what they don't understand. And there are mean kids out there who will just pick on anybody for anything. I'm amazed you haven't dealt with that. If you had been, like, let's say someone said, "Ew, like, why does that looks gross?" What would you say? Because you have like so much confidence about this.
So I've talked about this, and me and my brothers, we actually talked about this before. Honestly, for us, we say ew back to their food because we know they're poisoning themselves. We know the food that they have is going to end up hurting their body. You're going to make fun of me for taking care of my body when you're over there with low quality food, just eating Takis out of the bat. Right. It's honestly just sad. For us, that's how we see it. And I think it's so true that nowadays kids are just poisoning themselves. For us, we're eating the real food and they're just eating poison and toxic chemicals.
Well, and you're not afraid to draw that line. And that's where I say, like, I hope it's really helpful for other teens to hear your confidence and your just 100% certainty that you're doing the right thing. And Abdullah, I know that you would never mistreat someone else, even though, you're seeing them poisoning themselves, but you feel sympathy for them. You feel terrible for them as opposed to like retaliating against them. So it's a tough world out there though. It's a tough world being surrounded by. So you bring your own food, you have no excuses for what other people are saying to you. It's stressful though. It's stressful being a teen. It's stressful being a kid in the world. And I know part of your book, The Teen Health Revolution, talks about stress and how that's part of our health too, right? So what are like 2 favorite stress management tips that a teenager could do today? Like you guys have stress relief tips that you do every day, right?
So number 1 is deep breathing, mindful breathing. Just taking a deep breath. Belly breathing is amazing too. Box breathing, there's tons of different kinds.
And when do you do this? Like, do you have a set time in your day, or is it just you're going to take a test and you're like, I know what to do. I'll take some deep breaths.
So we just do it throughout the day, whenever we remember. Because for us, our mom always taught us how to deep breathe when we weren't stressed, so that when we were stressed, we knew how to deep breathe. Like whenever I'm taking a test, one of the first things I always do is the tests are like most chaotic, time, because you're going through all your notes, you're trying to shove in as much knowledge as like humanly possible. It's just really chaotic, and it's probably one of the times teens are the most stressed. Just right before the test, sit back, take a deep breath. And actually, I found I do much better on the tests because I'm more focused, I'm more relaxed, I'm not stressing over whether or not, I'm taking my time. I'm actually thinking through everything out and getting the right answers because I'm able to take control and let my body relax.
Mm-hmm. And it is about control. Yes. Instead of letting your stress and your anxiety control you, you know that your breath controls your brain. You take it back. It's awesome.
And that's why we call breath like a reset for your body. As soon as you take that breath, your entire body's like, okay, I got this. And so right now it's you mentioned stress, and stress we think of, it's just stress is like a natural thing. But when that stress is unmanaged, then that can cause, weakened immune system.
Yeah.
Then that negatively affects our gut microbiome, that increases cravings, worsens mental health issues, raises blood sugar. It creates and causes memory issues, hormone imbalances, and even weight gain. And so the second thing that we use for stress management is exercise.
Oh, okay. And is that a set time during your day? Do you guys have a routine?
So we try to at least get 15 to 30 minutes of exercise if we can a day. If not, we try maybe getting 2 hours, 3 hours a week. Our main goal at the end of it is just to be consistent with it. If we can't, at least maybe 5 minutes a day. Do some push-ups. I know, do some push-ups, do some jumping jacks, move around, get that blood flow going to your brain, because if you don't, focus on moving your body, then your body's not going to work well. I know, teens are told always exercise, do this, do that. 80% of teens are not getting the adequate amounts of exercise they need. And I know back in maybe your generation, our mom's generation, she used to say we used to always run outside, go outside, get the exercise we needed. But right now, most teens like couch potatoes. If Mad was here, he'd tell you the story of how his friends come back from school in middle school, and they brag about how they spent 5 hours, 6 hours playing video games in their basement.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just leading and contributing to how the anxiety and depression rise we're seeing today. So teens, go outside 5 minutes a day, take a deep breath, get some water in, be in the sunlight, go into nature, ground.
And everything you just said is free. Mm-hmm. Those are all free activities, which is awesome because teens have no money. So that's great because they spend it all at Starbucks. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, except for that, yeah.
Would you say, if you're in a big study session, Abdullah, would getting up and doing push-ups and some jumping jacks and stuff be a good thing for your study brain as well?
So obviously, if you're inside the middle of a lecture hall or something.
No, at home, you're preparing for a test. Yeah, you're doing your homework. You have 3 hours of homework in high school, and you're just sitting there and you're is there a point where you would say, stop doing the homework, stop the studying? You should get up and move your body for 5 minutes, and that will actually make your brain better for the rest of your study time.
Of course. If you're feeling, the classic, after studying a little bit, you feel bogged down. Yeah. Just getting up, moving your body, getting a drink of water, doing some push-ups, pull-ups, whatever, taking that break, but also instead of scrolling. Because I know when teens, they take a break from studying and homework, they just get on their phone and scroll, which is going to make it even worse for them.
That's not a break? It doesn't count?
It's like an anti-break. It's like the opposite of a break. It actually worsens your studying later on, because then those dopamine hits, like you can't focus with those dopamine hits after you go on the social media for that long.
Yeah, even for 5 minutes. I mean, like length of time doesn't really matter. Like it's not a break because your brain is still being fed the dopamine.
And exactly. That's why it's just so much more beneficial to go get moving, get some exercise. I know my mom, she does like Zumba and she's like 40, 50. So even if you're older, get some exercise. And she says she feels so much better.
Don't round up on your mother. You can't do that, Abdullah. She's not 50. I'm going to tell her on you.
She's like 30 years old, 30 years, around that.
No, now you're faking. Okay. True. But the point is, anyone of any age can move their body and it doesn't really matter. But I'm glad you brought up tech because those were two very good stress points, deep breathing and moving your body. But let's talk about tech. As you said it's an anti-break, which I actually love. Can you fess up on how you as a 17-year-old use tech in your day-to-day life? And just remember, you're talking like directly to other teens. How should they create a healthy relationship with tech? Because it's not going to go away. It's not like not going anywhere.
And it's never going to go away. One of the things us teens have to realize and recognize is that we need to start controlling what we're visually consuming. It's never going to be good if we're going to doom scroll for 2, 3, 4 hours. If it's going to affect our anxiety. I know you've probably recognized it in yourself. After 2, 3 hours of scrolling, do you really feel good?
Do teens really scroll for 2 hours? Ow, hurts my brain.
And I'm telling you, us teens, I remember before we learned all about this tech limits, when I first got my phone, I did scroll a little bit too much because I was like, oh my God, I have a phone now. Let me go check out all this stuff. And I felt horrible.
What were you scrolling? What app? Because this is confession time. You got to tell me.
YouTube Shorts. Okay, I didn't go into social media, so like that was the next best thing. But this was like in middle school. Then we started to learn how it negatively affects. I could feel it making me more irritable. After those 2 or 3 hours of scrolling, I got up and my entire like mind felt different. Do you really want to live your life like that? Do you want to live in control and not being in control of your life and your brain and your body? Do you want to be someone that's just stuck on their phone all the time? Nothing is going to come out of you just wasting time on your phone. My mom always said, which really helped me out, was when you go on your phone, always go with a purpose.
Okay, so never just pick it up passively. Like, I wonder what's in here. Everything is in there. So what do you do? Like, how do you limit yourself now? Because you still have a phone. You could just watch YouTube Shorts or YouTube Longs all the time. What do you do to like create that structure?
First of all, I do have a time limit because I know it's also so beneficial.
Did you set it for yourself or did your parents set it?
I set it for myself.
Nice.
So set a time limit for yourself, because if your parents are going to set it, we're just going to get the PIN code. We're just going to keep on doing it. Learn about phone usage for yourself. Go socialize. Go meet people. Also, when it comes to phone usage and recognizing it for yourself, learn stuff on your phone. Don't just, mindlessly use it, but go do something beneficial on it. Use it, like I said, for a purpose. You go on your phone, take breaks as well. Because sometimes, we have to use a phone or we feel bored and we go on it, but take breaks, 5, 6, 7, 10-minute breaks, or just stop after 5, 6, 10 minutes. That's even better.
Yeah.
But that's the way to do it. And step by step, it'll get better and you'll fix your phone addiction, because this is not you controlling your phone. This is your phone controlling you. And we need to recognize that, and we need to wake up now.
You talked about having a purpose for picking up your phone. And I know part of the Teens Health Revolution is talking about teens having a purpose, not just with the phone, but having a purpose in life. So Abdullah, how would you recommend other teens out there find more purpose in their lives? They're not all going to write a book and start a podcast. That is pretty unique to you guys. But why is purpose important? Can't we just have fun? You guys are teenagers. Just have fun.
I know this is a time where we want to have fun. We're like, oh, when I become older, I'll deal with my health stuff.
Yeah.
I'll when I'm older. Right now, I'm still young. Give me some time. If you want to start changing yourself, it needs to start now. And you can't start that later, because eventually you'll just keep spiraling worse and worse and worse. And last thing you want is to become a shell of what you used to be. And the second biggest thing is gratitude. Look, we are the most negative people. You probably can agree with you. Teenagers are some of the most negative people I know. I hate my life. I hate school. I hate homework. And we need to shift that subconscious from negative to positive. And that's exactly what gratitude does. If we are able, the scientists come out and say that 90% of our thoughts and actions are contributed to whether we're positive or negative. I mean, gratitude even has the power to change genetics. If we're able to focus on the good, who can stop us? We'll be unstoppable. We can do anything we can put our minds to. And that all starts with getting rid of negative self-talk. Teenagers, stop talking bad about yourself. You can do this, because a negative subconscious will only lead us to sickness and make us even worse. So we need to wake up and we need to change our lives now, because this is the right time to do it.
Incredible. So to help a teen find purpose, first we've got to shift the negative to the positive through gratitude. I know your family is a faith-filled family. Mine is as well. Different religions, but we're like totally meet on a lot of things. And so you have, I believe, a prayer practice of gratitude, right? To a higher power. But people can do that without being spiritual necessarily, right? Like, yes, it belongs in your faith life, but if you don't have that, you can still just learn to be grateful. Would you say that's true?
100%. Because gratitude isn't, you don't have, like, I know for us, prayer, is one of the most important things in our life because it gives us that purpose. And I know faith is one of the most important things, and having that connection with the higher power is one of the most beneficial things anybody can have. But for anybody else, gratitude and having a connection with your soul or your heart is possible, because we all have a soul, and sometimes that soul needs things that food and water can't give you. And so just every day when you wake up, I know when I'm on my when I was on the bus going to school, saying I'm thankful for looking around, putting my phone down, saying I'm thankful for my eyes, I'm thankful for my ears, I'm thankful for my life.
Even if you don't feel it that day, don't you think? Like, because if you make it a habit and you just say it, even if you're grumpy and you don't feel like you're actually thankful, it still counts, right? Like, it still shifts our body, it shifts our immune system, right? That's the research.
And exactly, because now scientists have even come out and they said that gratitude is 100% connected to better mental health. I know a lot of teens, they're scared of their thoughts. They're scared of what they're going to start thinking of. And that's why we go to the phones. That's why we use phones to self-medicate ourselves. But that's the exact opposite we should be doing. We need to start embracing that boredom, start thinking with ourselves, start being with ourselves, and start connecting and thinking and coming up with ideas that will then benefit our future. Because I heard this one professor, and he said that we need to be bored, because when we're with ourselves, that's when the best ideas come out. And us teens, I used to feel like I wasn't in my own body. And until I started to practice gratitude, until I started to change my subconscious and I fixed my mindset, and now I feel I can do anything. And when our mom, her favorite quote, which really empowered me, which I want to share with all of you, is as long as you put your mind to it, you can do anything. And so just recognizing that and taking that to heart, you can do anything.
Parents, if you are impressed with Abdullah's confidence and his certainty in what he believes, I tell you, this is not N equals 1, it's N equals 4, because his 3 brothers would be saying the same thing. They just happen to be in school right now. Teens, if you're feeling inspired, if you want to hear more from Abdullah and his 3 brothers, they have written a whole book. So you get to hear more from them. So first of all, subscribe to their podcast, The Holistic Kids Show. Go get the book, The Teens Health Revolution. If you're listening to this podcast when it's new, they are in pre-order. It's launching December 11th, 2025. If you're listening after that, just go buy the book. If you're in pre-order, though, what kind of bonuses can they get, Abdullah, for ordering now?
So we have bonuses for everybody listening. If you pre-order the book, you get a grocery list, lunch menus and stuff, things that you can build your own lunch with, easy things to add to your lunch. What we do, there's also stress busting, so easy things that you can implement to your life today, practical tips that anybody can do that's 100% free. We're not telling you to buy an expensive thing, but something you can implement into your life to change your life around. because we don't want you to just pick up a book and that's it. We want you to then implement that for the rest of your life, and keeping that a habit and building those good habits for yourself so that you can become a better person. So definitely go check that out. We are so honored to be sharing that with everybody.
Yes, support these teens. Let's make it a bestseller. Honestly, the book is titled The Teen Health Revolution, but that is what we need. We need the book. We need the actual revolution to happen, which means people need to buy the book. They need to read the book. Go to theteenhealthrevolution.com, which is where you can pre-order and get all of those bonuses as a bonus for pre-ordering. Abdullah, thank you so much for being here. This has just been the biggest treat of my week. I really, really appreciate it. Go buy the book, everybody.
Well, it's really been my pleasure, and I can't thank you enough for having me on this, because this message needs to be shared and the world needs to hear this, because we need to wake up.
We do. Thank you. Teen Health Revolution. Buy the book. Go to the website. Abdullah Ansari, thanks for being here today. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Healthy Parenting Handbook podcast. I hope your brain feels fed and your heart feels full, and that you feel connected, knowing that there are other parents on this journey with you. We're just trying to raise healthy, independent adults. And the next time you think, man, there is no handbook for this job, now there is. The Healthy Parenting Handbook. Look up the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please leave a review, my friends, as that helps other parents who need this information to find us. And of course, subscribe. That's a huge help. You can also look for our shorts as a reel on Instagram at Katie Kimball Kids Cook, or subscribe to the Healthy Parenting Handbook Shorts channel on YouTube. You'll get those bite-sized portions of healthy parenting advice.